My name's Emily Adams, and today I will be discussing a little bit about the topic that I chose for a 10-page essay. I have my essay right here, so if I keep looking over, you know why, because I'm kind of looking at notes and making sure I'm saying the things that I want you guys to know so that you can understand how cool stem cells are and the many possibilities that are within stem cell research. So I've always had a big interest in the medical field. Ever since I was little, I wanted to be a nurse and I wanted to work at Primary Children's Hospital. As I've gotten older, I've realized how much goes into being a nurse and how much schooling and time away from family and all those things. And so I've kind of steered a little bit away from that, but I'm still very interested in the medical field and pursuing a career that involves possibly working at a hospital or something. So I was very intrigued when I found out about stem cell research, and I hope you guys will be able to understand me clearly and just kind of understand a little bit more about stem cell research. So to start out with, we need to understand what cells are. I'm sure that we've had a biology class either in junior high or high school or even now in college, and we have talked about cells. Cells are very important to understand because they make up what we are, pretty much. They are the smallest structural and functional unit of an organism. So when we kind of think about it, we are made up of cells. I know we can't see the tiny little cells that make up our bodies, but they're there. And so we start out as these cells. So obviously each of us were an egg inside of our mother, and we were fertilized. At the time of fertilization, all of this huge clump of cells were called totipotent cells. What totipotent cells are is they have the total power or potential to become an entire organism. So they are what we are now. But they had not yet specialized or kind of divided into their specific roles to become a heart or to become the liver or the lungs or things like that. So we were fertilized and we were called totipotent cells. 4 to 5 days after fertilization, the cells divided and specialized. And they were starting to specialize, and at that time they are called pluripotent cells. So at this point they cannot make up an organism in a whole, but they can make up parts of the organism. So they can make up the heart, they can make up the liver, the stomach, the skin, everything. So the more that they divide and specialize, the more that they are limited to what they can do, if that makes sense. So this is where the controversy comes in, because we are taking these newly fertilized eggs, and as soon as they are fertilized and they are at that totipotent cell stage, so they haven't yet specialized into lung cells or other parts of the body, so as they still have the power to make up anything, pretty much. So we are taking those cells and we are using them and implanting them into patients with cardiovascular diseases. So say an open heart surgery, we are implanting those cells into the heart tissue, and because they have the potential to become anything in the body, they recognize that they are being implanted into the heart, and so they start to multiply into heart cells and essentially heart tissue and can repair the damage that has been done to the heart. So it's super cool, and they've done it with tracheas, and they can insert it into the liver for patients with diabetes and that are suffering from not enough insulin production and things like that. So they can actually insert these totipotent cells into certain organs, and the cell will understand, oh, okay, I'm being inserted into the liver, so I need to start making tissues for the liver and things like that. So it's actually really, really interesting and super cool that our bodies know how to do this. But it's very controversial because we are taking this newly fertilized egg and we are essentially not letting it reach its full potential, which is, human life. And so it's very hard to say, this is right and we should do it because we can save people with heart diseases, which is a major cause of death in the United States. But then we also have to look at the side where, okay, well, we're taking this egg that is newly fertilized and could in 9 months become a baby, and we are using it for research. Okay, so we talked about like embryonic stem cells, which come from a newly fertilized egg, and that just kind of goes over the totipotent and pluripotent cells. There's another type of cell called adult stem cells, and those we can get from our own bodies. So there's still a lot of research going into those, but one way that they have been using these cells for a very long time is treating patients with leukemia. So they have found that these cells are in your brain and in your bones and things like that. And so these patients with leukemia, they're taking out these adult stem cells from their bones essentially and from the blood, and they take them out before they do radiation and chemotherapy and things like that, and then they will implant the adult stem cells back into the patient, and it's actually starting to help with the process. We still haven't figured out why cancer is a thing and why these cells just start to multiply and they're just like out of control, but they have found out that treating patients with leukemia with these adult cells has actually kind of slowed the process. So it's super cool that they understand that there's this big controversy with the embryonic stem cells, and so they're trying to be sensitive and be understanding of those feelings, and so they're actually looking for more research and more ways to use these adult stem cells so that there isn't so much kind of controversy. And honestly, a lot of people don't even know that we're using adult stem cells, so it's really cool that they have figured out, okay, we're taking these cells from the person itself. We're not having to use an egg that is recently fertilized. We're gonna use these cells that's already in the person, and we're gonna look for ways to treat it. So this is like a really big topic, and there's so much more to learn about it and so much more I could say, but honestly, like, it's amazing what our bodies could do. I was super amazed at finding all this information because I had never really heard about it or really honestly thought about it, but our bodies are amazing and the capabilities are endless. And with the more research that scientists are doing and more clinical trials and things like that, they're finding out more stuff to help patients with certain diseases. And so the goal pretty much is just to heal our bodies with what we have instead of having to use medication and stuff. So if we can heal patients with leukemia by using a cell that's already in their body, then that'll save us more money and time and more therapy and things like that. So it's really cool what honestly we can do with this stuff, but it is, like I said, a big controversial debate just because with the whole embryonic stem cells, it's those cells offer unlimited possibilities. But with it being so controversial, we can't really do those procedures yet in the United States. So most of those procedures being done are outside of the United States. But I hope you guys enjoyed learning more about stem cells. I know I was kind of all over the place, and there's big words that you might not understand, and that's okay because I didn't either at first. But it was super cool, and I hope you guys learned a little bit more about stem cells and that this kind of piqued a little bit of interest into the medical field or what our bodies are truly capable of.